Caulifla simply has more potential.
Goten and Trunks became Super Saiyans really easy, so why do you give Caulifla such a hard time about
The
it?
Universe 6 Saiyans simply evolved differently.
Why are you so against a strong female character, you misogynist? Goten and Trunks went Super Saiyan 3 easily, so it's not ridiculous that Caulifla went Super Saiyan 2.
Everyone's become a Super Saiyan at this point, so what's the big deal if Caulifla gets it? Why are you complaining?
Caulifla's a prodigy, so it was easy for her to do.
Caulifla simply has...
Shut up! Shut up! Shut the fuck up! Just shut up! Seriously, just shut the fuck up about it! I already did 4 videos on this. I don't want to talk about it anymore. You know what? Fuck it. Enough Pokemon. I'm going to do it. This is more important. I got to do it. I just got to do it right now because apparently nobody can figure this out for themselves. So I'm the one that's going to have to do it.
Hey, what's up? This is Goten and Trunks. Just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in. What the fuck is going on here? I'm making yet another video talking about Caulifla? How much more can I talk about that bitch? Well, apparently I can talk about her a lot because anytime somebody is willing to call Caulifla out on her bullshit, myself included, because, well, Caulifla became a Super Saiyan just like that, somebody else will come by and say, hey, wait a minute, Goten and Trunks also became Super Saiyans just like that, so why are you giving Caulifla such a hard time if Goten and Trunks did it long before she did? Yes, they all had became Super Saiyans without meeting the proper requirements established for the form. However, the way that they go about doing it is not the same. Apparently, this fan base is either too blind, stupid, or a combination of both when it comes to this, so it's time I drop some knowledge on you motherfuckers. Here I am to explain to you guys exactly why you should stop comparing Goten and Trunks to Caulifla. Ever since Dragon Ball Super Episode 92, where Caulifla became a Super Saiyan through the contrived ass-pulley method of focusing in on the tingly feeling in her back, there have been many YouTubers, myself included, who were quick to call her out on being a Mary Sue and for just simply being handed power-ups without earning them. However, while Caulifla has her haters, she also has her supporters. She has those who will constantly play the Goten and Trunks card. Now, Goten and Trunks, nothing shows them becoming Super Saiyan by accessing a tingly feeling in their back, nor do they ever even mention that. But here's the thing, not even taking that into account, the point is, people are only looking at it at the surface value. On paper, Caulifla and Goten and Trunks all became Super Saiyans just like that, but when it comes to the themes presented and their methods of going about it, they're entirely different. I'll start off with Goten and Trunks. Goten and Trunks, they are the sons of Goku and Vegeta respectively. They became Super Saiyans at the youngest age that anybody has ever done. The Super Saiyan transformation was one where the method of achieving the transformation is by having a certain level of experience and by having a moment of intense emotion, for example, rage, which results in them snapping and they gain access to the form. Now, Goten and Trunks don't have any real battle experience. As a matter of fact, only thing that they've really done from fighting is just sparring. They've never been in any life or death battle. They didn't become Super Saiyans through rage. However, when it comes to themes presented in the series, there are subtle hints dropped that justify exactly how Goten and Trunks were able to access the form. Because, first of all, by the time Goten and Trunks were conceived, Goku and Vegeta had already undergone the Super Saiyan transformation. Goten and Trunks gained access to the form because to them, they say that it felt natural to do so, which implies that they inherited the ability. And then even a line said by Gohan where he was saying like this newer generation, like these newer generations are getting stronger. It's like, they could potentially surpass him someday. Because even when it comes to Gohan, let's look at him for a minute. When it comes right down to it, Gohan has been able to keep up with the cast throughout the events of Dragon Ball Z. And now let's compare him to his father, Goku. Goku was incredibly weak during the course of Dragon Ball, especially at the start, and especially if you're gonna compare him to Dragon Ball Z standards. Goku was very weak. However, throughout the course of the series, he would gain experience and he would become progressively stronger. And then by the time Dragon Ball Z rolled in and were introduced to his son Gohan, Gohan has power to be able to keep up with the characters featured in that point as the power creep has greatly gone up. Gohan has experienced bigger leaps in power throughout the course of Dragon Ball Z than Goku has ever done throughout the course of Dragon Ball. And pretty much Gohan was at a point where a lot of the potential that was building up within Goku had passed down to his son. And another thing is, when it comes to Saiyan human hybrids, they overall have higher potential. Gohan, being a Saiyan human hybrid, already had higher potential, but to add with the experience, with the overall power and experience that he had inherited from his father, he had been able to keep up with the cast throughout that point, something that does get brought up during the Cell games when Goku says, haven't you noticed that he's always been able to keep up with us for all this time? Despite the fact that when Gohan was first thrust into battle at the beginning of Dragon Ball Z, he was merely 4 years old, and throughout the course of the series, where he was younger than Goku than when we were introduced to him at the beginning of Dragon Ball, Gohan had been able to access levels of power that Goku could not access without training for it. So Goten and Trunks is simply continuing that trend. It's not really so out of place that they're able to do it because remember, they're keeping up with the cast of characters featured because Super Saiyan is something that all of the Saiyans that are still alive by the time of the Android Saga has been able to do. They've all have been able to access the form, and Goten and Trunks, they're just pretty much taking a page out of Gohan's playbook just on a higher scale. And another thing is, Goten and Trunks are completely saturated around Super Saiyans. They have exposure to Super Saiyans because we have Gohan who's a Super Saiyan and we have Vegeta who's a Super Saiyan, and Trunks trains with his father all the time, so he is well aware of the form. he knows exactly what the form is, so it's a matter of pretty much seeing what his dad does and being able to access that form, which for him had already felt natural to do. And then of course Goten and Trunks, they often play with one another and spar, so it's just a matter of these two, they already had much higher potential than their fathers, and they inherited a lot of their abilities, which gave them their greater potential. So really, with the constant exposure to Super Saiyans, it was really only a matter of time that Goten and Trunks does it. But then let's compare it to Caulifla. And not only that, let's just look at the Universe 6 Saiyans. The Universe 6 Saiyans are very different from the Universe 7 Saiyans. Because unlike Universe 7, where the Saiyans' original homeworld, planet Sadala, was destroyed due to internal conflict, which led to them going to another home world, being Planet Plant, inhabited by the Saffurians. And then that's when the Saiyan-Saffurian War eventually broke out, resulting in the Saffurians being killed off, thanks to the Saiyans becoming Great Ape, thanks to the full moon. And then the planet was renamed Planet Vegeta, and then the rest was history. Universe 6 does not have this. Another thing is, Universe 6 does not have the lore of the Super Saiyan, because Vegeta has heard about the legend of the Super Saiyan ever since he was a little kid. Even at the time, he didn't really believe those stories to be true, but he's heard about them anyway. And then by the time we get to the Namek Saga, when Goku just completely mops the floor with the Ginyu Force, this is where Vegeta starts to believe in that legend more, which that legend is present all throughout the Namek Saga, which shows that there is an ongoing lore regarding Super Saiyans. But Universe 6, this is a universe where Saiyans have flourished, and they flourished on their original home planet, and at no point did they get driven to extinction the way the Universe 7 Saiyans were. The thing about the Universe 6 Saiyans is overall they have a stronger sense of justice and they're more good-natured than the Universe 7 Saiyans, as the only examples of a pure-blooded Saiyan being good-natured would be Goku, and he accessed the form because he's a warrior pure of heart awakened by rage. So those pure of heart have a much easier time accessing the form according to the lore and lines spoken in Dragon Ball Z, which begs the question of, at no point within all of the time that Universe 6 Saiyans have flourished, and Universe 6 has a defense force where they constantly are in wars, defending the planet, defending peace, at no point in time were any of the Universe 6 Saiyans driven to the point where they just were in a moment where somebody they cared about got killed, or any moment where all hope seemed lost, any moment to just piss them off and just access the Super Saiyan form. At no point in time did that ever happen. That is quite bullshit when you think about it, because by the time we get to Dragon Ball Super, we're in the Tournament of Destroyers, and we have Vegeta and Kaba fighting it out. Vegeta showcases the Super Saiyan form, and then he pisses Kaba off, threatening to destroy planet Sadala, and that anger allowed Kaba to become a Super Saiyan, which makes you wonder, throughout all of the history, nobody got pissed off enough for it to happen, despite the fact that the Saiyans during this time, they are definitely strong, they have high base power levels, but they never figured, not one of them at any point in time figured out how to become a Super Saiyan. And also, there's apparently no lore of the Super Saiyan because, there is no original Super Saiyan that was from the original Saiyan home world like what happened with Universe 7. Because Caulifla, she is just been introduced to the Super Saiyan form about 4 hours before the start of the Tournament of Power. Because Kaba goes to recruit her, and Caulifla is uninterested in joining until Kaba shows her the Super Saiyan transformation, and then she becomes curious and wants to learn it for herself. Now, Kaba really doesn't understand the form, as the best that he can explain it is you access the tingly feeling in your back, which Caulifla goes on to try, and on her first try, she gets it. On her first try, she just gets the hang of it. There's no training, no learning how to focus her energy, no little arc like that. She just gets the hang of it because, first of all, the tingly feeling in the back thing is already a huge contrivance, and it's something that was never ever brought up throughout the entire run of Dragon Ball Z. But for the sake of moving things along faster, we have Caulifla just completely pull the transformation out of her ass, and as a result, she just completely disrespects and cheapens the transformation at that point. Because this shows that Super Saiyan is a transformation that absolutely anybody can get, regardless of how much they actually know about the form. Because, of course, Kaba explained it as a tingly feeling, but even so, the fact that Caulifla was able to just access it and become a Super Saiyan with absolutely no moment of her actually earning the form, and also she had just been introduced to Super Saiyans. Unlike Goten and Trunks, Caulifla is not surrounded by Super Saiyans. She only just learned what a Super Saiyan is, as opposed to Goten and Trunks, who are around Super Saiyans. They train with Super Saiyans, they train with one another, and they showcase the form. So that's the thing. There is absolutely nothing here that can really even justify how Caulifla is able to access the form, because this leads me to the next point, because a lot of people are saying that Caulifla is able to do it because she is a prodigy. Well, here's the thing. Let me teach you something about what it means to be a prodigy within the realm of Dragon Ball. Because the thing about it is, when it comes to Caulifla, it really didn't end there. Because not only does she become a Super Saiyan through a complete ass pull, she later becomes Super Saiyan 2 completely by accident. Kaba is about to get absolutely murdered by Super Saiyan Berserker Kale, and Caulifla steps in to stop her and decides she needs more power, and completely on a whim, she accesses the form. Despite not even knowing what a Super Saiyan 2 is, or if there's any forms beyond Super Saiyan. Let's compare it to Goten and Trunks. Goten and Trunks, they had became Super Saiyans, however, they never broke out beyond that. They may have showcased that they have a lot of potential by becoming Super Saiyans earlier than at younger ages than any of the other characters, but they never at any point reached the next level of Super Saiyan 2 despite their much higher potential. Because, well, the amount of work was never put in, the amount of training and experience was never put in for them to access these higher forms. Because the thing about the Super Saiyan transformation is that is something that every Saiyan featured in the Androids arc has achieved by the end of Dragon Ball Z. However, there are exclusive clubs that only certain few characters are members of, because everybody may have become Super Saiyan, but only people to break to the point of going Super Saiyan 2 were the likes of Gohan, who was the first one to do so, and then Goku, followed by Vegeta, as they underwent the training to be able to master their Super Saiyan forms to reach the next level. And then we have Super Saiyan 3, which only Goku is a member of that club. Now you may say, but wait, Goten and Trunks were able to access that form when they were fused together as Gotenks. Well, here's the thing. Fusions are stronger than the sum of their parts. Fusions have much higher overall potential than the two individual characters that fuse into them. But the thing about it is, Goten and Trunks did not just simply become Super Saiyan 3 the moment they fused into Gotenks. They had to first see what the Super Saiyan 3 transformation was by having Goku transform into it in front of them. That way they can get an understanding of it. And also, they had a lot of time in the hyperbolic time chamber to be able to perfect the form before they had to fight Super Buu. So training was involved. There wasn't just simply they get the hang of it right then and there. They had to work for it. That continues with the theme of this series, because let's compare Goku to Vegeta. Goku was a low-class Saiyan. He was born with a very low power level. Low-class Saiyans get sent off to planets with weaker inhabitants, as their low-class ones are sufficient enough to wipe out all of the population. Whereas Vegeta is a Saiyan elite. Vegeta was born with a very high power level. He was born with greater potential than that of his father, and as a result, Vegeta never had to train for anything. And when it comes to that, that is pretty much the mindset of those within Frieza's Planet Trade organization. But fast forward to the Saiyan Saga, Goku and Vegeta have their ultimate showdown. Goku tells Vegeta that even a low class can surpass an elite if they try hard enough. Because despite the fact that Vegeta was born with greater potential, Goku has put forth effort his whole life. He has undergone different methods of training in order to get stronger, and he was able to showcase power that surpassed even Vegeta's. Which Vegeta saw that this low class was able to push him to his very limits. So Vegeta would go on to train to be sure that he would not have to play second fiddle to Goku. However, Goku has a better understanding on how to train to get stronger, whereas Vegeta goes about it the wrong way, which is why he is never able to catch up to Goku. This is why Goku is always a step ahead of Vegeta. Even when Vegeta has moments where he closes the gap, Goku constantly keeps opening it. This applies to Gohan as well. Because Gohan was born with more potential than Goku or Vegeta. Gohan has showcased huge levels of power through moments of intense rage, and throughout the series, he had been trained to understand better how to control his power, and by the time we get to the Cell games, Gohan reaches his potential by being the first character to ever access Super Saiyan 2, by being the first character to be able to correctly ascend beyond a Super Saiyan. So Gohan was leagues above the other Z fighters at this point in time. So if Gohan were to continue his training, then his strength would be unparalleled. However, Gohan does not have the work ethic that Goku and Vegeta does. Gohan is pacifistic and he doesn't focus on combat. He doesn't live for combat the way Goku and Vegeta does. So even though Gohan has more potential, Goku and Vegeta have greater work ethic, which is why they were able to surpass him. So what this series showcases is that potential will only get you so far. Dragon Ball, at its core, is an inspirational story that showcases that hard work, that showcases that effort will pay off in the end. No matter what you were born as, the only thing that matters is how much work you put into to be able to achieve your goals. Whereas Caulifla just gives a giant middle finger to that. She is handed everything she is given. She earns nothing. She does not go through any trials. She does not go through any challenges. There are no obstacles to overcome. She is just simply given power-ups and she earns absolutely nothing. She just steps in. She had only been a Super Saiyan for about 3 hours prior to the Tournament of Power, and Goku goes on to say that by the end of the tournament she could potentially go Super Saiyan 3, which is the most asinine thing ever, because she's just unlocking the forms without having to undergo any sort of struggle to access these forms, and these are forms that she does not even know exist, and she didn't even know they existed until about 4 hours before the tournament. The thing about Caulifla is the reason she's such a horrible character, the reason she gets so much hate is because her only character traits are that she's a Saiyan, she has a vagina, and she's handed power-ups. If you take that away from her, she has absolutely nothing. She has absolutely no substance to her. And to top it off, she is a very obnoxious character. She's a character that does not deserve to be in the same league as the likes of Goku, Gohan, and Vegeta, but she's just constantly just being handed power-ups simply because she has a lot of potential. So she just completely gives a giant middle finger to what it means to be a Super Saiyan and what this series is ultimately all about. Because Goten and Trunks, they showcase that they had a lot of potential early on, but they don't go any further because they don't put in the work. After the Majin Buu saga, that was pretty much it. They didn't focus on training the way they did before. And Caulifla didn't train really at all. All she was just a street punk. She was just somebody who didn't want to get involved in anything, and she just all of a sudden shows up and just keeps spitting in the face of those who had to work in order to get the power-ups that she is just simply being handed. So this is very much a social justice agenda at work here. Caulifla is nothing more than a wish fulfillment character that feminists can project themselves onto. She is a character that I would expect to see on fanfiction.net, not within the realms of Dragon Ball. Because she is quote-unquote a strong female character, but there is nothing strong about her. She's simply an obnoxious bitch that doesn't have to work for anything that she gets. That makes her a much weaker character than anybody ever introduced in Dragon Ball. She just goes on to just completely disrespect what it means to become a Super Saiyan. Now, you can say whatever you want about Goten and Trunks. They do not spit in the face of the Super Saiyan transformation the way that Caulifla does. So do you guys finally get it now? Do you get why she's so hated? Do you get why you should stop using Goten and Trunks as an example? Can you guys finally get it through your thick fucking skulls? I really hope so. I'm surprised that nobody was able to figure this out for themselves. So, what do you guys think of this? Be sure to let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. Also, like and subscribe for more content. So, with that being said, that's the end of this video. Have a good day, everyone. This is Trace signing out.